Hello and welcome to Nightingale Resin. My name's Katrina. Thanks for joining me today while we do some coasters. This mould is made by Nina from Shattered Shapes. Now we'll be using some Art Tree Creations pigments as well as some A1. This is Art Tree Creations Deep Azurite. It's a beautiful dark blue. This is an Art Tree Creations Pearled Iceberg. It's a beautiful soft shimmery white. This one is from A1 Pigments Australia and it's called Super Flash Sapphire. We'll also be adding some shattered glass or mirrored shattered glass by Ikea. We'll be using some Dalchem resin today. It's a very thicker resin and it has a shorter working time of only 30 minutes at most. Now what we're going to do is the first thing we'll do is add our pigment into our cups. Use a generous heap on the end of your paddle pop stick. The Art Tree Creations resin are fairly concentrated pigments, but I found that the A1 pigments are less so you need to use a little bit more. Now I'm being very risky here, just for the sake of showing you. I'm actually opening my pigments over the top of my mould. Normally I don't like to do this because you don't want to drop the pigment into the mould. You then have to clean it up. As you can see, I've already dropped a little tiny bit in there, so now I need to do some cleanup. So we just grab some masking tape and pat it around. I do clean up my moulds before using them just to get any dust off by using this method as well. It's a good method for picking up any fluff or dust as well as excess pigment you might have dropped in it. Now let's start the process. We'll start by mixing. I won't do this on slow for you. I will speed up this little bit. My white and my paler blue, my sapphire blue, will get about half a cup going. Oh dear, I've just dropped it in there. Let's just grab a baby wipe. If I do it now and clean it off now, the mould will have time to dry prior to me pouring resin, because you don't want to have a damp mould pouring resin in. It won't harden if you do that. Let's start this. We'll put about half a cup of clear in. Decanting it just helps keep the resin cooler longer, and the cooler you can keep it, the longer it will be before it starts to set. Alright, let's mix it up. You'll notice this navy blue is just a beautiful, rich, deep colour with just a deep, deep sheen to it. The white is a very, very soft, gentle, shimmery white. It's not a crisp, clean white. It's a very, very translucent colour. It's just beautiful though. Now I'm learning with the A1 pigments, I should have put a lot more powder in. They're not as concentrated, but the colour is stunning. I'm looking forward to bringing you more of the A1 pigment colours. They actually sent me 27 different colours to try. It's fantastic. Now because I want to do a navy blue ring around the outside, I'm pouring the navy blue resin into a piping bag. This just allows me a bit better control to do a fine line, because colours like navy or black or even a strong white will take over, and I don't want the navy to be the dominant colour in this. So we're just going to pop it into our icing bag, push it all down the bottom, twist the icing bag up, and then I will cut a very small amount off the bottom of the icing bag. Always remember, start smaller. You can cut more, but you can't take it back. If you've cut it too large, you're going to have to work with it too large. I will say these icing bags are very big. They're my normal icing bags. I want to order a smaller set for using with resin. There's just too much hanging over the edge. Alright, let's start piping on the inside of each coaster. As you can see, I do want quite a fine line of navy because the navy will move and shift as I add the other colours. Resin by its nature moves and changes right until its cure time is up. So what you start out with, you won't finish with. It's something very important to remember about resin, and it's one of the reasons I love resin so much, because it acts like it's alive and changes. It's always awkward trying to pipe upside down where you can't see where you're supposed to be going. I should have put this on a turntable or a Lazy Susan. That would have made it so much easier. Got to remember that for future coaster pours. Now I'll just go and top up any areas I've missed, or just thicken up any lines that are just a little bit too fine. I don't want to lose the navy blue altogether, but I just don't want it to overtake. Now we'll get our sapphire and we'll pour a ring just around the inside of the navy. What I like to do is I like to pinch the paper cups so you get a very tight pouring spout. It's much easier than using a plastic cup. You have a lot more control over the width of your stream of resin. Just being careful to not drop resin as you move the cup. Oh dear, nearly lost all of that then, didn't I? I should have seen that coming. I'll need to move that out of the way so I've got room. Alright, let's go and fill in the little gaps that I missed from nearly tipping over things. As I pour the white in, it will push the other colours out. We'll do the same thing. We like to give it a bit of a stir. Then I'll pinch the cup and we'll just pour another ring in each and we'll see if that pushes the sapphire blue out. If it doesn't, I'll just come back afterward and actually fill in those little gaps. I'll do that before I pour my clear in because I do want to keep the rings quite neat to start with. I personally love this color combination. I love the variances of the two different blues and the white as they start to blend together. All right, let's just fill in that little tiny gap because I want to try and keep an even ring if at all possible. All right, now we're going to put our clear in the center. You can even see now that the navy is starting to pull in on some of the coasters. So the sapphire blue will move to the outside a little bit and the navy will come in a little bit. I'm hoping to keep a nice dark navy ring just on the edge of each coaster though. We'll see what happens when it cures. Alright, my next step is I'm going to add a teaspoon of the crushed mirror glass into the center of each coaster. Oh, there comes the rain, guys. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but now it's raining heavily here. I'm in Queensland, Australia, in the capital city, Brisbane. And it's been so hot and humid here today that I'm not surprised we're getting rain late in the afternoon. Alright, now I'm just going to pour a little bit of clear onto the top of the glass for a couple of reasons. One, I don't want any pieces of glass poking up through the coaster. And secondly, we need to fill each mould to the top. If you don't fill the mould to the top, you'll get a little lip around the edge of each coaster. That's called a meniscus, and that will make the edge of the coaster a little bit sharp. It can easily be filed down if you don't want to fill your mould to the top. I just use a heavy duty emery board for filing my resin. Now I need to get down and have a look where's missing, which mould is missing, which mould hasn't have enough to make it go up to the top. So I'm going to add another ring of the sapphire blue to each one, just to make sure we don't lose the sapphire blue altogether. This will also help make sure that I fill the mould right to the top. Oh, just enough of that colour, guys. Just made it. Phew. I never like having to mix more colour. So let's do the same with the white. If I have to mix more colour after I've already done a pour, I worry that the colours will be too different. Because if I add slightly more mica powder or slightly less mica powder, the tone will just be a little bit less or a little bit darker. Alright, let me just have a look. No, we're still not quite up to the top. Let me just add some more resin to my small cup. I just find the control much easier to pour from a small cup than from the big jug. It doesn't push the glass out quite so much, and I just want to keep the glass to the center if at all possible. It will do a little bit of a spread because you don't want a lump of glass, but I want to keep it to the center so it gives that nice reflective agate look in each coaster. Look at the navy in that one pulling in. Alright, let me just duck down and have a look across the top of each one. Okay, a little bit more. We're just going to keep on adding the clear until I can see that each coaster is nicely, gently domed, or at least, if not domed, right up to the top. Some resins dome well, and I found this Dalchem resin does dome quite well. It's also nicely heat resistant, so you can put a cup of tea or coffee on it and the resin doesn't go tacky. It's important to know which resins are heat resistant and which resins aren't heat resistant. In a future video, I'll actually do a bit of a comparison to the few resins that I use. I use a couple of different ones. I'm just going to give this a quick blowtorch to pop any bubbles. It's important to torch quickly, never leaving the torch in the one area. Keep it moving because you don't want to melt your silicone mold or burn your resin. The silicone will actually melt and stick to the resin and you will have ruined your entire mold and unfortunately the beautiful art project you've been doing. Alright, hopefully our last little top up just to get them where I want them. Now these will have to sit for at least 24 hours to cure, maybe a little longer because we're very humid at the moment. It's been 24 hours, let's demold them. Oh, they're popping out so easily. Oh, look how beautiful that is. Beautiful translucent coaster. Oh, look at how the navy has clung to the outside, forming a beautiful line, but also come in a little bit too, so we've got some feathering effect in there. Oh, I love how that dark has stayed there. It's interesting, these coasters are fairly similar, front or back, so you could use either side as your front or your back. What I'll do now is I will go and put some silver leaf pen around the edge to do a complementary edge so it matches the glass in the center. And here's the finished product. I think they look stunning. I hope you guys have really enjoyed watching this video. Please like and subscribe and join me for more resin and other art videos.